This week on the Computer Chronicles, the secrets of email. We'll show you how to find someone's email address online. Need to access your email from a remote location and can't figure out how to do it? Hotmail can help you. This is a program that turns all your electronic communications like faxes and voicemail into email. And if you want to do more than just send simple messages, check out Eudora Pro. It'll help you get your email organized. Plus a look at mailing lists and political activism and pen pals in the digital era. All this plus Giles Online, this week's computer news, my pick of the week, coming up next on the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by SoftSource Incorporated, publishers of Pro One software, educational software for young adults. And by Upside, the business magazine for the technology elite.
Hi and welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stewart Cheifet. Many analysts say email is the killer application that will eventually get everyone onto the internet. But email can still be a pain unless you've mastered the secrets of electronic mail. Here to share some of those secrets with us is John Montgomery of Byte Magazine. John, you guys are doing a cover story on email, actually. What are the issues? What's there to write about? Why should I care about this stuff? Why do I need to buy software to do email?
Well, it's a bunch of stuff. It's things like finding people online, getting email integrated from multiple accounts into one email client, even simple things like, really, should you pay for email?
Okay. Well, let's start with the first issue you mentioned, which is a difficult one. You want to send somebody email, you don't know their email address, there is no phone book on the shelf. How do you find their address?
Well, you could just pick up the phone and call them, but if that doesn't work, you could use a service like 411.
Okay, and this is just a website, right?
Yes, it is.
And it's a database, theoretically, of everybody's email address?
Well, in theory, it's of everybody's email addresses, but you're going to find that it's pretty short. Why don't we search for a name and find out? All
right, can I look, see if I'm in this thing?
Yep.
Let's go back up here and say Stewart. Spell your own name. And is there a search button here somewhere? Just go down here to search and see if it can find an address for me. Well, I've got about 5 different email addresses, so this will be interesting to see what it finds. Got to read the commercials, of course. That's part of the deal. It's a free service, right? Thinking.
And it
found 1 out of 5.
Well, that's not too good. Why don't we make it a little better? Why don't we add you? Go to the left of the screen under My Listing.
Okay, so add me. So I can actually go into 411 and say, hey, put my name into your phone directory, right?
And in fact, I'd recommend that pretty much everybody does that.
If you want people to find you, sure. So I would just go in here and say, hey, here's the address I want you to tell people about, which would be that, and just say register. And so the next time somebody looks up me, they would get that email address instead.
Yeah, you're going to have to give it a little more information, like what city you're in, but yeah.
Okay. So anyhow, 411, and it's the word 4, numbers 11.com is the site to do that with. All right, now let's talk about the software issue. If I have a browser, it's got a little email package. If I have an ISP, it's got a little email thing with it. Why do I need to buy email software on top of that?
Well, that's exactly the problem. You have 2 email packages. You said you have 5 email accounts.
Right.
That means that you're going to have to use 5 email clients to download your mail. What you really want to do is to get a universal inbox. And I brought one with me. It's the email connection from ConnectSoft. Retails for about $50. And it enables you to connect to services like America Online, CompuServe, this is my corporate email, even receive faxes all into one email box. And at the same time, as it receives the messages, it's going to take the addresses of everybody that sends you a message and stick it into your address book.
So I can automate this and say, hey, every morning at 6 o'clock, dial up all my email accounts, download all my email, put it in this one universal box?
Exactly. Now, there's only one problem I found with it, which is that, in this message from AOL, it should have come through with formatting. Email connections stripped the formatting.
All right, now, in the new version of Microsoft Office 97, there's a feature called Outlook, which is a similar kind of thing that comes built in, isn't it? Kind of universal email client?
Yeah, it's a universal email client. It doesn't go quite as far as email connection, like you can't get your CompuServe mail or your AOL mail. But it will connect to most corporate email backbones, and it integrates your email with your calendar, your contacts, task list, and a bunch of other features. Right now, you can only get it as a part of Microsoft Office, but eventually it's going to be available as a standalone
So there are
product.
2 nice things here from what I see. It integrates your email, so it becomes part of your sort of desktop environment.
That's right.
And it's got that nice little feature talk about where it gives you the sort of thumbnail of your email.
That's right. And you can also just take an email message and make it an appointment.
Great. John, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, while most people use email for business correspondence or to say hi to mom, email can be a powerful communications tool in the cause of political activism. One good example is at the Institute for Global Communications here in San Francisco.
The Chinese Progressive Association operates from 2 small rooms on the top floor of this old brick building in San Francisco's Chinatown. From the cramped quarters, they manage to teach English to new immigrants, tutor students, and organize campaigns to improve the community. The CPA recently asked the Institute for Global Communications to help them expand their reach through email and the internet.
Using it as a new communication tool for our organization, both internally, like where we can disseminate information to our members and other interested people, who are on the internet, efficiently, but also looking at it as a way to get our message out about our issues and our organization to a broader audience.
The Institute for Global Research, or IGC, is a low-cost internet service provider and consultant to nonprofit and activist organizations. IGC has its own group of networks tailored to specific issues, such as the environment, unions, and minorities.
Whatever we can do to put people in touch with other people is really valuable. Even compared to, say, researching on the web, for people who have the time to do that, it can be a very frustrating enterprise, but you'd be amazed how much information people can find just over mailing lists. All they need is an email account, but they're putting out their questions to such a wide array of people who are likely to have answers that they get back. Essentially, we're putting people in touch with each other.
The IGC sends trainers on site to help community groups like the CPA set up their own email lists and websites. But they often find that simple communication is the best starting point.
We're getting people online and doing outreach to activists and saying, you can use this technology, it's really going to help you in your work. But once they do that, they've learned some email, our focus then becomes on organizations or coalitions working on a particular issue around an election, to strategize with them how best to use this.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Giles Bateman.
Well, email is great when you're using your familiar computer and your usual internet service provider, but when you're traveling, that's not always easy to do. One solution is an email service called Hotmail. And Sabir, explain the concept. I guess this is really an email account sitting inside a website, so it's always easy to access?
That's right. We are a website, and we allow for people to send and receive email from any web browser in the world once they log into our website at hotmail.com.
So it doesn't matter where I am, I can always log into a website and get my email that way rather than worry about the different specialized software I might need, etc.
Absolutely.
Right, do I have to actually register and open up an email account with you at Hotmail?
Yes, you do have to, but the registration process is extremely
All right, let's just take a
simple.
look, and how would we start the process?
Okay,
So we've logged on to your website, which is hotmail.com?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then here is a registration form. You click on the register,
Just fill in
fill
the
this
blanks.
out, and then you're off and up and running.
Now, being a website, what's interesting is this is free, right? You're not charging me for this email service.
That's right.
I just have to watch your ads every now and then on the
supported.
site. Okay, so show us what the interface looks like. How do I actually do web-based email?
Okay, I'm just logging into my account.
Okay.
So once you have your own email account and ID,
So I've got my password.
you've got your password, and you log into your account. And from your account itself, this is your email. You just have to
Okay,
click
so
on
there's
it,
my inbox.
and you can create folders.
So it's not like any other email account. Now, what about attachments? Can I include pictures, graphics, files, etc.?
Absolutely. And what's more, not only can you do attachments, but the attachments actually show up in your email. Like this is an email which is sent to me with an attachment of a picture. And the picture actually shows up in my email box.
So I don't need any other special plugins or anything complicated. It will just handle these kinds of things.
And then you can do everything that a typical email account allows you to do. You can reply to this, you can forward this email, you can send it to other people, you can create address books.
Okay, now, I already have lots of other email accounts, as I mentioned. Can I still use those, or I'd have to dump all those to just take your email account and get a new address?
You can even use all those, and what's more, you can even download that email into your Hotmail when you're traveling, especially if it is internet-based. If it is a proprietary email account or behind a firewall, then you cannot download it.
Okay, so with regard to internet service email accounts that are open, I can put them all into this sort of universal mailbox inside Hotmail.
That's
but
right.
not if it's an AOL or a CompuServe account, because they won't let you in.
That's right.
Okay. With regard to these attachments you talked about, isn't there a limitation on how much space I can get on your server for my attachments?
Yes, we allow for 200 kilobytes per attachment per email. So anything larger than that, you would have to use a separate account, or very soon we will be offering a feature which will allow you to even attach files of larger size.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, the nice thing about email is that you can usually access your email from anywhere in the world with a local phone call. Not so when it comes to checking your voicemail or your faxes, that is unless you have something called JFax, and that's the product technology you guys have come up with.
That's right.
Basically the idea with JFax is what? I mean, what do I buy from you? Software or what?
You buy a telephone number from us, and what's unique about the telephone numbers that we sell is they're essentially connected to your email box, meaning you can receive both faxes and voicemails on those telephone numbers. The JFax phone number receives the message, it compresses and digitizes it, it converts it to a MIME-encoded email attachment, and immediately and automatically routes it to your email box.
All right, so you give me a phone number, which now becomes my voicemail phone number and my fax line.
Precisely.
And then you'll take all that stuff and dump it into my email box.
Exactly.
All right, can we try this and leave? I'm going to leave a
Absolutely.
voicemail message in the account that you set up for me, and I want to see how this shows up then in my email account.
While you leave that voicemail message, I'll open up a fax, which has
Okay,
already
yeah, let's
been
see how
sent.
the fax stuff works too. Yeah, she's giving me the message right now. All right, I got the tone, so I'm going to leave this test message to see if JFax will really put my voicemail into my email box, okay? Bye.
While that's being sent, you see I opened up the email and there's the attachment. We provide you with free JFax communicator software. Which
All right, so I do need viewing software to take a look at the faxes,
And that's free.
obviously.
It's downloadable from our website, jfax.com. Here's the fax. You can forward it, you can file it, you can print it, you can size it for...
All right, so good. Let's make sure we know what we're doing now. I'm in my email box right now, and there was a message that said you have a fax. I clicked on that icon, and I'm now looking at the actual fax.
And here's your fax. We also have an annotation function, so you can do all sorts
I
of
can
things
play
to
with
the
the
fax
fax.
before you forward it.
And
out to
can
others.
I fax out using your system, again using a local phone number?
You can. There are a number of systems that have outbound fax capabilities, and where we're different is we use something called smart routing technology. And what smart routing technology enables us to do is to route your fax through the internet in the most cost-effective way. So, for instance, you could send an average fax in the U.S. for about a nickel.
So this is like internet telephony, only internet
Exactly.
fax, whatever.
Exactly.
Because instead of calling to California, I can call a local number and send a fax and send it through the net. Cheating
Exactly.
once again by taking advantage of the
And
internet.
we've set up in a number of Asian countries, in Hong Kong and
So
Tokyo,
even
for
internationally.
instance, so that means that a lot of those overseas
That's cool.
calls are...
Can we go to my email box and see
Yes.
if that voicemail already
So
showed up?
I'm going to check the email, and it should be here. It plays it through the audio speakers of your computer.
So it's really going to talk to me. I mean, I will hear, it won't be transcribed, I'll hear the voicemail
Exactly,
message.
and we use a GSM format, and the reason for that is the traditional WAV format is about 6 times as big in terms of
It'd be a
memory.
pretty big file, yeah.
Exactly, but this way we can do small files. It doesn't take a long
So
time
my
to
whole hard
download.
drive doesn't get consumed with voicemail messages.
Exactly, and they're clear, concise, they're clear quality, good quality messages. It's actually the format used by digital
All right,
mobile
hopefully
phones.
we'll hear it in just a minute. What?
Yes,
There's
there are a
two
couple of
messages
messages
actually sitting
Yep,
in my
yep.
voicemail box, okay. And again, I would just go into my email box and listen to my voicemail or look at my fax or do my regular email.
Exactly. We're working on developing the capabilities so that you could also have your messages, your phone messages, converted to text. We're working on some different OCR capabilities that might enable you to have your faxes read to you over the phone.
Do I have to do anything complicated to listen to the message?
You
Or
don't.
does the
All
player
you-
already come in there?
It's part of the JFax communicator software.
Maybe he wants to click OK there. And so there's my voicemail message.
And here's the icon. You just double-click on it.
All right, I got the tone, so I'm going to leave this test message to see if JFax will really put my voicemail into my email box.
All right, JFax, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, did you have a pen pal when you were a kid, someone living abroad to whom you wrote letters and then waited for weeks or months to get a reply? Well, pen pals have gone digital, as we see in this report from Foss Creek Elementary School in Healdsburg, California.
Nestled in the picturesque wine country of Northern California, the Foss Creek Elementary School is far removed from the great cosmopolitan city of San Francisco, about 80 miles to the south. But these fourth graders are international jet setters in a way, thanks to computers, modems, and email. The students in this class have electronic pen pals in San Marino, a tiny sovereign nation on the coast of Italy. Every day they exchange letters with a class of 9-year-old children who are learning English. It all came about through the Email Classroom Exchange, an internet service that establishes links between schools.
I put an ad on there saying I was interested, and a gentleman over in Italy responded saying he was teaching English to 10 kids about our same age level, about 4th grade, and he'd be delighted to correspond with us, and so we got 10 kids going on it.
The class also exchanges letters with a school in Ohio, but the letters are sent by regular mail, a process that doesn't generate the same kind of excitement. Some of the educational benefits of transatlantic email are obvious: geography, history, language, while some are more subtle.
Social skills, learning how to communicate with people, being sensitive to other people. They're getting letters, and the kids are pretty honest and pretty open about things going on in their households. You have to really watch out that they're not too open sometimes. But the responses from the people in Ohio and Italy both have been really appropriate.
While email has found its place in Don Ellsbury's classroom, he warns that it takes time to prepare and to use, but the results can be rewarding.
Dictionaries are flying across the rooms when kids are doing the proofing for the letters, because they don't want their letters going to Ohio not looking as good as the letters they've received. You know, things like that. Enthusiasm is everything. When kids are enthused, they learn, and it's certainly generated a ton of that.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Giles Bateman.
One of the problems with email is just managing the volume and keeping track of what you sent and what you got. There are several tools that help you do that. One of the best ones, and one of the most well-known, is called Eudora, and that's your baby, Tracy. We saw email connection before from ConnectSoft. Is this a similar idea, Eudora? It's sort of an overall manager?
Yes, it is, but we like to extend the capabilities beyond that. One of the things we've done with Eudora is allowed it the flexibility to grow for a power user, also giving you an API that third parties can develop solutions for.
So it's a bit more of a business tool in a way than a recreational email tool. And as you say, the key thing is you can plug in other things to really do enhanced email. One thing I want you to show me, you can use it, for example, with Sidekick and actually use the internet now to schedule appointments. How do you do that?
That's correct. Simply bring up your Sidekick application. Let's take an example where I want to schedule a golf outing with my friends. I click on the time, set up golf, and then let's pull down a list of participants from my Eudora. My friend Hicks, for instance, friends from a company Emulex. Click OK. Now what Sidekick does is it uses Eudora as a transport mechanism, sending an invite out as an attachment to an email message to all of those people on a distribution list.
So if I'm your friends, I not only got that email message, my version of Sidekick now shows an 11 o'clock appointment with you to play golf.
That's correct.
All right. Next thing you can do, you've got the Visionaire Paperport scanner in here. You can actually use Eudora to send a fax as a piece of email, right?
That's correct. Because one of the things that you realize are fax machines are very expensive and not always convenient to use.
And that phone call is sometimes very expensive.
Yes, very much so. So using the Visionaire equipment, what we do is we allow you to scan in a document, and then once that document is on the Visionaire or Paperport desktop...
All right, so there's the thing you just scanned in.
All you have to do is drag and drop it to the mail icon, and it creates a Eudora mail message with the document already attached. And all you do is click in the name of the person you want to send it to.
So that piece of email is in fact now this fax, which they can look at the other end as a fax again.
That is correct.
Okay, you've got the Connectix Quick Cam up here too, and another cool thing you can do with email is actually send photographs, right?
That's correct, Stuart. For example, one of the things is using Connectix.
All right, so where you got a live picture going there.
When you're ready, just capture the picture, and again, click on Send. The Connectix interface brings up a file name, save it, it'll compress it so that you minimize the size of the file, and then it brings up the Eudora interface and simply type in the destination and it's off and running.
All right, we saw something called C-Mail. Now that's actually a separate application that enables this photography or greeting card email?
That's correct.
All right, so all I need is the camera, I need that software, and again, that will plug into Eudora?
Yes, it will.
So what's cool here, again, we're not just talking about old-fashioned text email, we're talking about scheduling through email and photos through email and faxes through email. It's a totally different game.
That's correct. Recognizing email is the #1 application. We felt it was necessary to bring it all together.
Tracy, thanks a lot.
My pleasure, Stuart.
All right, well, email, like the telephone, can be a blessing or a curse. Fortunately, there are several websites that can show you how to avoid some of the nastier aspects of email. Here's our webmaster, Giles Bateman, with some advice on how to get the most from email.
Thanks, Stuart. Email is a great communications tool, but you really should learn to use it effectively. And in order to do that, I recommend going to A Beginner's Guide to Effective Email. They cover everything here from why is email different, that is different from standard or snail mail as it's called, to context, page layout and intonation, things like that, to really help you communicate your thoughts more effectively through this different medium of electronic mail. And I recommend this site, even though it's called A Beginner's Guide, I think it's good for beginners and experienced users alike. Good thing to check in on. Next thing I want to talk about is problem emails such as chain letters. These are just as bad in the electronic realm as they are in the real world, and they make you feel guilty. They tell you you'll have bad luck if you don't forward them on. Ignore those types of messages. This site, How to Defeat a Chain Letter, explains why you should feel free from having to forward on the different chain letters that might arrive to you. Plus, it gives you a lot of different links to other sites that talk about chain mail. Now, last but not least, hoaxes. Those are similar to chain letters in that they waste bandwidth, they give you unnecessary fear and trepidation, and they should be ignored. So don't spread that hoax. Here is a great site that tells about hoaxes, lists famous hoaxes, plus gives you links to other sites about hoaxes.
Thanks, Giles. It's time now for our weekly summary of the latest internet and computer news. Here's this week's Random Access Report with Lori Anderson.
In the Random Access file this week, regardless what the financial community says about Apple, they're still announcing new products. Among the new PCs is the fastest laptop on the market. The PowerBook 3400 features a 240 megahertz microprocessor. Other new product announcements this week include a new Presario from Compaq. The CPU will sell for less than $1,000. B Inc. announced that its operating system will be included in Motorola's Macintosh-compatible computers and is close to a similar pact with IBM. B gained national attention late last year when it was thought Apple would buy its operating system. Acceleration Software has introduced a new utility to speed up your hard drive. Called Superfast, the software claims to boost hard disk performances by up to almost 500% and reduce application launch times by up to 75%. Well, wish you could try all the features of Microsoft Office 97 without having to buy it? A chain of business service centers called Kinko's is selling a 90-day fully working trial version for just $5. The CD-ROMs are available until mid-March. Stopping at the gas station is getting faster. Mobil Corporation is introducing a new way to pay for your gasoline. Called SpeedPass, an electronic system in the pump communicates with a transponder in a tiny keyring tag given to customers. SpeedPass then adds your purchase to your credit card bill. Well, tired of all those catalogs you get in the mail or the junk emails in your inbox? Check out a new service called ZeroJunkMail.com. For $15 a year, this service claims you will see approximately a 75% reduction in unwanted solicitations by simply subscribing. And finally, a Buddhist temple in Hiroshima plans to open a virtual graveyard on the internet. Visitors can choose electronic tombstones and post photos of the deceased. priest. The idea came from people who live too far away from the temple to visit, but wanted to pay their respects to their ancestors. That's it for this week's news. Back to you, Stewart.
Now for my pick of the week. Email is relatively simple as long as both parties speak the same language. But with the increasing global nature of business and travel, many of your email correspondents may speak another language. Several weeks ago on this program, I showed you some software called Internet with an Accent that provided character sets, fonts, and menus for communicating on the Internet in 28 different languages, but it didn't actually do translation. Now there is a program out called GlobalLink Web Translator that actually does do automatic machine translation of email into German, French, Spanish, or Italian, and vice versa. You simply enter your email in English and then click on Translate, and you now have a translated version of what you just wrote. Web Translator even comes with a conversation mode that lets you do live online chatting in another language. And it comes bundled with specialized dictionaries for professional areas such as aviation, finance, medicine, etc. This is a nifty little program, and it sells for under $50. It's Web Translator from GlobalLink. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. We'll be back here again next week with more of the best in computers, CD-ROM software, and the Internet. If you need more information on anything you saw on today's show, just check out our website at pctv.com. I'm Stewart Cheifet. We'll see you here next time.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by SoftSource Incorporated, publishers of Pro One software, educational software for young adults. And by Upside, the business magazine for the technology elite. To order a videotape of this program, call 1-800-916-PCTV. Please ask for tapes by show number and title. And for more help in keeping up with the fast-changing world of personal computing, order the Cheifet letter. Each month, Stewart writes in detail about topics covered on Computer Chronicles and includes his commentaries on the technology that directly affects how you use your computer. For a videotape or a subscription to the Cheifet letter, call 1-800-916-PCTV. The Cheifet letter, your solution to information overload.